Tonight, the migrant crisis hits the suburbs. Suburban towns begin to pass local ordinances restricting the drop-off of migrants as thousands are flown or bused to their streets. But where should these migrants go? We'll speak to the mayor of one town for some answers as the migrant crisis hits a new phase. And
I'm still probably going to vote for Trump unless something happens. You know,
why is that?
He's already gone through everything they can throw at him, and he's still alive.
the clock ticks down until the first in the nation caucus gets underway. With less than 2 weeks until the first votes are cast in the 2024 presidential primary race, we take you to Iowa for a look at when and how voters there could pick the next commander-in-chief. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ABC News Live Prime. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the urgent migrant crisis amid a record surge of new arrivals. The Justice Department just a short time ago suing Texas over a law that would let police arrest migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. The move comes after House Republicans, including Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, visited the Texas border today, saying America is at a breaking point and slamming the Biden administration for a lack of action. Biden, in turn, has blamed Republicans for holding up border funding. A bipartisan group of senators are working to try to find some common ground. This comes as southern states continue to send buses full of migrants to cities across the country, some arriving in New Jersey communities, then being put on a train to New York City. We're standing by to talk with a mayor of one of those communities. But first, ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off tonight from Texas.
Tonight, amid a record number of border crossings, House Speaker Mike Johnson and 64 House Republicans touring the southern border, descending on Eagle Pass, Texas, to demand stricter immigration policies.
One thing is absolutely clear. America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration.
December reaching that record high, sources telling ABC News there were 302,000 migrant encounters. And until changes are made to border policies, Republican lawmakers are vowing to hold up emergency funds for Ukraine, Israel, and the border. H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act, would resume construction of the border wall, change who qualifies for asylum, and limit the Department of Homeland Security's ability to grant migrants parole.
Our position is very clear, and we have made that clear again for 7 months. H.R. 2 is the necessary ingredient. Why? Because it has provisions that fix each of these problems, and these things work together.
And today, senators on Capitol Hill working to strike a bipartisan deal.
We're making progress. We're closer than we have been, but this is a very difficult issue.
Overnight, President Biden placing the blame on Republicans, saying without funding, his hands are tied.
You gotta do something. You gotta give me the money I need to protect the border.
Matt Rivers joins us now from San Antonio, Texas. As processing facilities deal with record numbers, tell us more about the latest actions of the Justice Department.
Yeah, tonight, Lindsay, the Justice Department announcing that it is suing the state of Texas to block the implementation of a tough new immigration law here set to go into effect in March, giving state officials the right to charge immigration crimes. And as that battle plays out, though, as you mentioned, migrant processing facilities like this one behind me here in San Antonio continue to deal with record numbers of migrants. Lindsay?
Matt Rivers in San Antonio for us. Thanks so much, Matt. In some instances, the migrants that southern states like Texas are sending to New York City and other major cities are ending up in New Jersey, in communities like Trenton, in an effort to work around rules made by Mayor Eric Adams that require buses to arrive only during designated hours at specific locations and with at least 32 hours notice. In this case, over the weekend, some migrants were sent via train to New York City from Trenton's Transit Center. And joining us now for more is Trenton's Mayor Reed Gassiora. Mayor, thank you so much for your time. How many buses have arrived in Trenton at this point, and is there anything you can do about it?
Well, on Saturday morning, I was informed that 4 buses between the hours of 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. dropped off 163 asylum seekers, all but 21 boarded trains bound for New York. Then again, last night, 5 additional trains and buses with 215 migrants arrived at Trenton Transit, but all boarded trains bound for New York.
And so did some of those in the first group stay in Trenton?
They claim that they had family members in Trenton and that they were on their way to those houses. Unfortunately, by the time we got there, no one was at the train station since they were in the middle of the night. So we have no way of verifying that at this point.
I guess it's fair to assume you didn't have any heads up about this.
No, and that's what's make it so difficult. And that it could be a humanitarian crisis and that they may have medical or food needs or shelter needs, but we have no ability or resources to house them or take care of them.
Some suburbs of Chicago have started to pass ordinances to restrict migrant drop-offs. Will you consider a similar push?
We would, but we'd like to do that in concert with other Northeast corridor towns. We don't want to plug up one hole and then just shove the problem onto a neighboring municipality. But I agree with Mayor Adams that buses shouldn't arrive only between the hours of 8:30 and 12. That way they can be dealt with city personnel, and they certainly should have at least 32 hours notice.
You mentioned some nearby cities in Edison, for example, where migrants have also arrived. The mayor there has vowed to charter a bus of his own to transport the migrants back to the southern border. Are you in support of that?
No, that uses people as pawns, and one wrong doesn't make a right. And I think what this has to do, what this calls for, is that Congress really needs to get back to work and work on a bipartisan basis with the president and resolve this issue. This is a national crisis that has to be resolved by Congress, not by individual mayors sending back and forth buses of migrants.
Do you believe there is a crisis at the border, and what would you say should be done about it?
Absolutely. Well, I was in Washington in the 80s when, on a bipartisan basis, immigration reform was indeed passed, and it was signed into law by President Reagan. So it has been done and it can be done. It's unfortunate that this Congress for the last year has had little productivity, but they really need to get back to work and work on this emergent issue.
You know, earlier in our conversation, you were saying that basically you don't have the items, the food, the housing to support the migrants who are coming in. And really, I guess in fairness, that's what the governors in some of those border states are saying. We don't have it either. So do you feel that it's the responsibility of all 50 states to shoulder the burden here?
Well, I think it is that we need to all work together. Sending somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning to dump on your doorstep is dealing with the problem. So we all need to work together, and the best party to do that is the National Congress.
Mayor Reed Gaciora, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lindsay.
A powerful coast-to-coast storm is heading across the country and to the northeast, where it could become the first major snowstorm in 2 years. Powerful waves can be seen in Pacifica, California, and are being experienced all along the coast with high surf alerts from San Francisco to San Diego. 6 states are under winter weather alerts. More than a foot of snow has already fallen in California's Sierra Mountains. The system is now in the west, and by the weekend, major cities in the northeast bringing chances for snow. Our senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano, is tracking it all for us. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Lindsay. You know, our long-range models have been pretty consistent in putting down at least a plowable snow here in the Northeast, and we haven't seen that in nearly 2 years, at least for New York City. It was mid-February 2022, so we are due to say the least. The low itself right now is over the Great Basin, and we've got winter storm warnings, as you mentioned. Most of those are up in New Mexico. Still have some leftover showers across the Sierra. There's another storm behind this one, but let's deal with this guy first. It gets into Texas late in the day tomorrow, and then into Friday morning. Heavy rain into Houston, into Shreveport as well. Snows north of Oklahoma City, north of I-40 mostly, and between there and, say, the Ohio River Valley would be maybe 1 or 2 inches. Shouldn't be much there, but the heavy rain in the southeast, maybe a mix across Appalachia Saturday morning, and then this thing begins to tap into the Atlantic. It intensifies. It begins to bring down more cold air, 6 inches plus possible. I think pretty widespread, 2 to 8, more so northwest of I-95, but the track, the strength, and the speed of this thing is critical, and right now it looks like it's going to end up up getting out of here by Sunday, hopefully. But if it slows down and strengthens, we'll be looking at a lot more snow. We'll know more about that, Lindsay, here in the next couple days.
You know, my son was hoping for a snow day, but perhaps it's going to be too early for that, Rob. Thank you so much. Overseas now to the violence spreading across the Middle East. Officials say 2 explosions killed roughly 100 people at a memorial for a top Iranian general who was killed in a U.S. airstrike 4 years ago. The sound of one of the blasts followed by screams and a chaotic rush to get away. General Qasem Soleimani was the mastermind behind a militant network, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels. No one has claimed responsibility, but U.S. intelligence indicates there's no evidence that Israel was involved. ABC's chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz is in Israel tonight.
Tonight, a powerful bomb blast, triggering panic on a crowded Iranian street, followed just minutes later by another explosion, killing nearly 100 people and wounding more than 200. Emergency workers tonight still gathering the dead from the largest terror attack in that country in more than 40 years. Iranian officials say a pair of bombs placed in bags were detonated remotely at the commemoration marking the death of Iran's former top general, Qasem Soleimani, killed by an American drone 4 years ago today. Soleimani, considered the mastermind behind an Iranian-backed network of militia groups that included Hamas and Hezbollah. Iranian officials immediately accusing Israel and, quote, criminal America of the attack, saying Israel will pay the price. But U.S. officials say there is no evidence Israel was involved. Our Mary Bruce pressing the White House.
Can you rule out that Israel had anything to do with this?
We have no indication at this time at all that Israel was involved in any way whatsoever.
It comes just a day after officials say an Israeli drone targeted a top Hamas official in Lebanon. Salah al-Aruri killed along with several others in this Beirut building. Hezbollah's top leader calling the strike a serious and heinous crime that will not go without punishment. The U.S. saying it was not told in advance of the strike.
That has long been the concern, that this war could widen. And Martha Raddatz joins us once again tonight reporting from Tel Aviv. Martha, back to the Iran bombings today. Based on the latest intelligence, who does the U.S. think is behind those attacks?
Well, a U.S. official is saying tonight that the assumption is that ISIS planted the bombs because it looks like the kind of attack that the terrorist group has carried out elsewhere in the past. But as you know, Lindsay, Iran will almost certainly continue to blame Israel. Lindsay?
All right. Martha Raddatz in Tel Aviv tonight. Thanks so much, Martha. Now to that passenger plane that landed and collided with another plane and burst into flames in Tokyo. Tonight, so many questions after authorities revealed pilots on that passenger plane had been cleared to land right before. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in Tokyo once again with the latest information.
Tonight, Japan's government releasing the potentially damning transcript of the communications between air traffic controllers and pilots moments before Japan Airlines Flight 516 slammed into a Japanese Coast Guard plane at 5:47 p.m.
Japan 516, continue with 34 right.
The logs show that at 5:43 p.m., 4 minutes before the collision, air traffic control instructed the Japan Airlines jet to continue its approach. 5:45 p.m., air traffic control clearing the Japan Airlines jet to land. 10 seconds later, air traffic control instructing the Coast Guard plane to proceed to a holding point on a taxiway to the runway. But Japanese Coast Guard says they were given permission to enter the runway. Another focus of the investigation, the runway warning lights, called stop bar lights, that tell pilots whether a runway is clear. But those lights hadn't been working since December 27th.
They didn't have those lights, and so somehow that crew in that Japanese Coast Guard aircraft believed that they were cleared onto that runway.
Within seconds, Japan Airlines Flight 516, carrying 379 passengers and crew, crashed. The fireball almost instantly incinerating the Coast Guard plane.
About 1,000 yards down the runway, that's where Flight 516 came to rest. All that's left now are the wings and parts of the engines.
Inside the airliner, the cabin filling with smoke, 5 of the plane's 8 emergency exits unusable. But the crew funneled nearly 400 people through the 3 remaining exits. Tonight, we interviewed another captain.
Does it seem
communication? Yeah.
communication problem between the air
Yeah.
traffic control and the pilot of the Coast Guard?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Matt Gutman joins us once again from Haneda Airport in Tokyo. And Matt, what were officials saying about the investigation into what went wrong here?
What we know, Lindsay, is that there was a miscommunication. Air traffic controllers did seem to tell that Coast Guard plane not to enter the runway, but there's a lot of finger pointing right now. Japan Airlines is saying that its pilot was in fact cleared to land and that the air traffic control supports that. The Coast Guard is saying that their pilot actually did receive permission to go onto that runway, and the Federation for Civil Aviation officials is saying that they don't want people to now be looking for a criminal investigation. What they're saying is needed right now is simply a fact-finding mission. Lindsay.
All right, important to get to the bottom of what happened here. Matt Gutman, our thanks to you. In Newark, New Jersey, an imam has died after being shot outside of a mosque. The imam, Hassan Sharif, is a well-known figure in Newark, often giving prayers at city council meetings. The police found him in the parking lot with multiple gunshot wounds 10 feet from the mosque entrance. Investigators are going through security and city-owned street cameras to determine whether they can spot the assailant. The mayor of Newark, in a statement, said Imam Hassan Sharif stood with the people of the city, and we will stand with him and his family. At least a dozen state capitals today were targeted with bomb threats. Emails were sent claiming explosives were well hidden and people would end up dead. Buildings were evacuated as teams swept for bombs. ABC's Steve Osunsami has those details.
With political stakes and tension so high, authorities today had to take the threat seriously. A bomb threat called into at least a dozen state houses across the country, sending law enforcement officials sweeping for explosives that they did not find. People were running from state capitals in Montana, Kentucky, Michigan, Georgia, and others. Federal investigators tonight say that the email that triggered it all came from outside the country. The note sent to lawmakers was just a few sentences saying that the explosives were well hidden and that people would end up dead.
I'm not even sure what would motivate somebody to do something like that could potentially result in loss of life.
In Maine, Secretary of State Shenna Bellows had a similar incident happen on Friday where someone called police to her home for no need. It was less than 48 hours after she decided that former President Donald Trump needed to be removed from the state's primary ballot.
What happened today against the Capitol, or what happened at my house on Friday night, they're designed to make people afraid, to send a message.
Steve Osunsami joins us now from Atlanta. Steve, what are federal authorities saying about these incidents?
Well, they're saying that people in this environment need to remain vigilant. And when you look at the letter, Lindsay, it was only a few short sentences. It could have been written by a kindergartner. But, authorities say they're not sure if it's a person or a group who sent these to the different state houses. Mostly Secretary of States got this note. But they say that in this environment with tension so high that all threats like this really have to be taken seriously. Lindsay?
Yeah, they certainly do. Steve Osunsami, our thanks to you. Previously sealed court documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein are starting to be released. The wealthy financier was accused of abusing young girls and women for years and ultimately took his own life in jail back in 2019 while awaiting sex trafficking charges. Our senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky has been looking over these documents for us. And Aaron, what have you found?
We found the reason that attorneys for one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, wanted to depose former President Bill Clinton. We know that Clinton has been publicly associated with Epstein before. We knew that the lawyers wanted to depose Clinton as part of a lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's former paramour. But now we know the reason, because in these documents it says Clinton's a key person who can provide information about his close relationship with the defendant, Maxwell, and with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's this kind of reasoning that was previously redacted, and we never knew why Clinton's deposition was sought. Now we do, and this is just the first of what's coming out about these names that have been associated with Jeffrey Epstein for a long time.
So much interest and intrigue in this, and much more to come. Aaron, thank you. And for a closer look at what this all means, joining us now is ABC News legal contributor and professor of law, Kim Whaley. Kim, thanks so much for joining us. The majority of the names on this list are not accused of any wrongdoing, yet much is being said already on social media. What does this say about due process in this country?
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about due process relating to this 14th Amendment issue and the ballot access for Donald Trump. He's getting his due process. He's having evidentiary hearings and appeals to just, sort of try and convict someone based on association from documents. That is a lack of due process. So we're learning a lot, I think, with that contrast about the Constitution itself. Anybody who's listed in it here has not been charged with anything, and there's been no proof against them. So we have to be really careful about drawing conclusions about them.
At the end of the day, many women and girls were abused under the nose of many powerful people. How does this reflect on the Justice Department?
Well, there was a case against Jeffrey Epstein, and I think by all accounts he got a very sweetheart deal and went on to abuse more and more girls and women, young women. And the fact that, based on publicly available information, high-level people had this kind of close access to him, and as did the Justice Department. It's a real failure. It's a shameful chapter in American history that not only did this happen, but it continued, notwithstanding the Justice Department's knowing that he was a threat to so many victims and really innocent young women. It's a very, very sad tale, and it's something hopefully that we won't repeat in America moving forward.
What happens next?
Well, there were some people listed that are going to remain. The names will remain under seal, of course, including some of the victims. But this will continue to come out. This is the litigation system working. Without Virginia Giuffre's lawsuit, this stuff wouldn't have been exchanged because it was relevant to the claims. And now the court has decided there's no good basis to keep this stuff under wraps from the public. And so we'll just have to see, as Aaron's indicating, what kinds of dots that can be connected. And it'll be embarrassing for some of these people, but again, not legal liability, and that's a very important distinction.
All right, Kim Whaley, we thank you so much for your input as always. Hospitals across the country are bringing back mask mandates in certain areas amid a rise in respiratory viruses. In New York City, the mandate includes 11 hospitals, 30 health centers, and 5 long-term care health facilities run by New York Health. And hospital systems across 8 states are returning to mandates due to the surge in RSV, flu, and COVID-19 cases. And new data from the CDC shows we are in the midst of the second largest COVID surge of the pandemic. By some estimates, next week, roughly 1 in 3 people in the U.S. will likely get COVID. In Florida, firefighters battled a large fire at the home of Miami Dolphin receiver Tyreek Hill. Hill and his family are now safe after fire crews responded to his home late this afternoon. The Miami Dolphins receiver was at practice when he was notified about the fire. Hill paid a total of $6.9 million for the 7-bedroom property. No injuries have been reported. And we still have much more to get to here on Prime tonight. The fallout over comments made by NFL star Aaron Rodgers about a late-night TV host who's now apologizing and who's threatened to take legal action. But next, in our Prime Focus, Republicans are making a push to prove they should be the presidential nominee. But Trump is still leading in the polls. Could performances in this month's contest in Iowa and New Hampshire change the tide?
I think Trump's going to win.
What about the other candidates, the Haley's, the DeSantis?
Haley I do not like. DeSantis I like, but his personality, he needs more of a personality, I guess.
Whenever news breaks.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In rolling fork, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, from southern Israel.
Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut.
From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming.
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
First thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about, the new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward,
With some fun in between.
a real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning
America's #1 early morning news.
on ABC News Live.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yeah.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Welcome back, everyone. 2024 is finally here, and that means the GOP primary season is about to begin. Kickoff is in less than 2 weeks with the Iowa caucuses, and then just a few days later, the ever-important New Hampshire primary. But with former President Trump holding such a substantial lead, can victory in the early states turn the tide for his top rivals? Our Jay O'Brien takes a look at why so much campaign focus goes into January's Iowa and New Hampshire contests and what it means to voters.
Enjoy your breakfast. Take care.
If you've never interrupted somebody's meal at a diner in New Hampshire or flipped pork, steps away from the butter cow at the Iowa State Fair, then chances are
I'm Vivek. I'm running for U.S. president.
You've never run for president. This month, Republicans in Iowa will hold their caucuses. In New Hampshire, they'll go to the polls for their primary. Meaning in just a few weeks, the path to who will win the 2024 GOP nomination is expected to be a lot clearer. In this crunch time, the thinning field of White House hopefuls are going voter to voter.
Debbie, nice to see you.
Trying to pick up momentum. While former President Donald Trump, facing 91 criminal charges across 4 state and federal cases, still dominates in the polls.
Those of us who believe that you get ahead in this country.
At a town hall in New Hampshire with Vivek Ramaswamy, we met voters who wanted to hear what the entrepreneur turned candidate had to say, but largely had their minds made up.
I'm still probably going to vote for Trump unless something happens. You know,
Why is that?
he's already gone through everything they can throw at him, and he's still alive.
I mean, he's in numbers that are just, I mean, I think it's really his to lose at this stage of the game.
I think Trump's going to win.
What about the other candidates? That Haley's, the DeSantis?
Haley I do not like. DeSantis I like, but his personality, he needs more of a personality, I guess.
Get used to this face. I'm going to keep showing back up.
Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has been surging in the polls, picking up a key endorsement from New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu.
Hello, New Hampshire. I'm thrilled to be back in your beautiful state.
But like every candidate, she's still trailing Trump by double digits. Telling our Jonathan Karl on ABC's This Week.
I think this election is important for Republicans and Democrats. I mean, you see Democrats are just as worried. You got 75% of America that say they don't want a Trump-Biden rematch.
In Iowa, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is pouring nearly every dollar his campaign has into outperforming expectations there.
Whip up some more votes for us. Thank you.
He's endorsed by the Hawkeye State's Governor Kim Reynolds. A solid second place since announcing his candidacy, the Florida governor has recently sagged to third in some polls, but vows to fight on. But Iowa doesn't technically have a primary. Voters there caucus. To pick their candidate, Republicans in Iowa gather in school gyms like this one. Others go to places of worship. Some go to private homes. Unlike a primary in a state like New Hampshire, the polls aren't open for most of the day in Iowa. Voters have to show up on time at 7 p.m. They first listen to speeches on behalf of the various candidates, and then they write down who their choice is on paper ballots. But they do it in a big room that's full of their friends and neighbors, so peer pressure is a real factor. Those paper ballots then get counted on site, and the results are reported to the state Republican Party. Polling in the single digits, candidates like Ramaswamy, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson are under pressure to drop out.
How you doing, sir? You serving the Rochester Police?
Back in one of those classic New Hampshire diners, meeting table after table, Ramaswamy told us he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
A lot of people came up to me afterwards and said that they changed their mind. They were unsure when they came in, but they came out as vehement supporters, precisely because of what they said was that disconnect between who
The
they
guy
see
on
on
the
TV.
debate stage.
Yeah, and there's
who's a little aggressive.
I don't have a woman problem. You have a corruption problem. And
Absolutely, and I think you need a president who can be a fighter, who's not going to roll over when they're hit. My own teaching that came from my parents is you have to be strong enough to protect your kindness. And I think some of that inside doesn't come across necessarily on a 30-second TV hit or
Yeah, when
30-second
people watch you on the
stage with
debate
buzzer.
stage, the word kindness doesn't come to mind.
Well, I think toughness does.
The reality here is that former President Donald Trump is still favored to win in both Iowa and New Hampshire, despite skipping every debate so far.
We're going to very simply make America great again.
These candidates are likely battling for second place. That means the expected Democratic and Republican nominees will both be in their 80s after a 4-year term, a fact that voters we met were keenly aware of.
I voted for Biden last time, but you need presidents that are younger. You can't have candidates that are 78 or in their 80s.
When they start losing their facilities, then they ought to be smart enough to resign.
It's not fair to me as a young person to watch older people corrupt my life.
President Biden now preparing for his first official campaign stop of 2024 this weekend in South Carolina, after mainly using official White House events in key battleground states to tout his accomplishments.
America's having infrastructure decade.
This election, Democrats reshuffled their primary calendar, officially putting South Carolina before Iowa and New Hampshire. But the Republicans didn't. And if you're wondering why GOP White House hopefuls spend more time with voters in these two states than anywhere else, it's easy. They're first. Winning over enough Iowans or Granite Staters can prove to the rest of the country a candidate has what it takes. Just ask New Hampshire 9-year-old Hannah Kesselring, who, with the help of her parents, has attended an event for every single Republican candidate, even asking some tough questions.
You could give me at least 3 reasons why you think and some others, Haley supporters think that you should be elected president.
Which candidate stood out to you?
I really like Nikki Haley and Christie, but that's just my opinion.
Are you guys truly undecided voters?
So when we started this process, I'll be honest with you, I was like full-fledged Trump. And what Hannah had made me realize is I'm going to listen to everybody.
She's a little too young to cast a ballot herself, but smart beyond her years, Hannah has a message for the rest of us.
You can't complain if you don't vote.
And the young shall lead us. She has a point there. Our thanks to Jay O'Brien for that. Still much more to get to. Coming up, an inmate is brutally murdered in an alleged 20-minute beating. The answers his family is now demanding. But next, New Year, better pay. Just how high minimum wage is going and where? By the numbers.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
In Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
From the capital, destructive Cat 4 storm.
You're along I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Yeah. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
First
first thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about, the new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
A real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
We have really good news. Congratulations, you're pregnant.
I was terrified. It was just so traumatic.
Nightmare.
People need to understand, these were wanted babies.
18 women facing life and death medical conditions. Their lives now out of their control.
I felt like I was going to die. Our lives and our health are debatable.
I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy.
Diane Sawyer, Rachel Scott, On the Brink, now streaming on Hulu.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know.
I love that.
Reporting from Atlanta, I'm Steve Osunsami. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. New year, new pay raise. Half of all U.S. states will boost their minimum wage in 2024. So who wins and who gets left out? We take a look by the numbers. This year, 25 U.S. states will increase their minimum wage. For 22 of those, that change took effect back on January 1st. Washington state tops the list with the highest rate at $16.28 an hour, and $16 is the new minimum in both California as well as New York. In contrast, in 20 states, the baseline wage remains $7.25 an hour, as set by the federal government. Most of these states are located in the South and Midwest. In California, there will be another wage increase in April when fast food chains with 60 or more locations nationwide will have to pay employees $20 an hour. Due to the increased labor costs, McDonald's and Chipotle are weighing raising their prices, and Pizza Hut has already cut all 1,200 of their in-house delivery drivers. Nationwide, now 6 states will guarantee their workers pay that is more than double the federal minimum wage. So when you compare the states lifting their pay floor and those just offering the federal minimum, the gap continues to widen. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. A TikTok she posted went viral, and now she's used it as the foundation for a campaign. The issues Allie Phillips say led her to run for office. And who may have become the first person to ever beat a game that's a long-standing favorite? Talking about Tetris.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives, and the magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky, Minneapolis, Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
first thing in the morning.
There's a lot going on.
Everybody in that home is okay.
To catch you up with what happened overnight. We are here at fashion's biggest night out.
What's happening today? YouTube has unveiled a new set of policies.
What people are talking about, the new ad campaign.
Fast, straightforward.
With some fun in between.
A real-life Barbie dream house.
A name change for the Wienermobile.
First thing in the morning.
America This Morning.
America's #1 early morning news.
On ABC News Live.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
From the capital. Destructive Cat 4 storm.
We're along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
Get ready, America, every Friday.
The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff.
Yes!
And save big time, too.
The right stuff.
Fridays on GMA. You're going to love it.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories. Start here.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Make it your daily first listen, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
The search for answers after an inmate is beaten to death. An NFL star makes controversial comments about a late-night host, and a teen gamer could be the first to beat a decades-long favorite, Tetris. These stories and much more in tonight's Rundown.
A family in mourning following the tragic death of their loved one.
I thought he was safer now than in the streets.
29-year-old Jannard Defraud was once an inmate at the Broward County Main Jail. He was brutally beaten, deputies say, by another inmate, Kevin Barnes, who was his cellmate. According to an arrest warrant, Barnes was seen on jail surveillance video choking Defraud for 2 minutes straight before stomping on him 10 minutes later. The family's attorney, Josiah Graham, says this went on for 21 minutes and not one deputy intervened. The Broward County Sheriff's Office said they are investigating the incident and placed 4 employees on paid leave.
A federal appeals court ruling that hospitals in Texas do not have to perform abortions, even if it would save the life of the mother.
After Roe v. Wade was overturned, the Biden administration reminded hospitals of their obligation to perform life-saving abortions under the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, EMTALA. Republican-led Texas, constantly at odds with Democrat Biden, filed suit, calling it a Washington overreach. On Tuesday, a federal appeals court ruled that emergency rooms are not required to perform abortions, even to save the life of the mother, if it would run afoul of state law.
ESPN host Pat McAfee apologized for comments made by Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers on his talk show. Rodgers implied late-night host Jimmy Kimmel had ties to Jeffrey Epstein and was quickly drowned out by the hosts.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
Kimmel threatened to sue Rodgers for his statement. McAfee saying today that he apologizes for being part of it, and he understands why Kimmel was upset about the comments. ESPN and ABC are both owned by parent company Disney.
Several new projects launching with an old version of an iconic character.
The horror movie Mickey's Mousetrap just dropped its first trailer. It uses the name and likeness of Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse character, which entered the public domain at the beginning of the year. Just the early 1928 Steamboat Willie version of Mickey is in the public domain for now. Copyrights in the U.S. are good for 95 years.
That movie not connected to Disney, parent company of ABC News. Neither are other horror movies using the character or a new video game.
Starbucks is expanding their Bring Your Own Cup program to mobile and drive-through orders. Company saying customers can bring their own cup as long as it's clean. Starbucks says baristas will pour the prepared drink from another cup into the personal cup to avoid contamination. The coffee chain giant has offered a 10-cent discount for customers bringing their own cup since the 1980s and has pledged to reduce waste by 50% by 2030.
Oh my God!
A 13-year-old from Oklahoma may have made history. Willis Gibson claims to be the first person in the world to beat the game Tetris. After 38 minutes, the game crashed and no longer produced any more blocks. This is known to players as the kill screen and means the game has been beaten. The popular tile stacking game was created in 1984. It's become one of the most recognizable games in the world.
Our next guest is 28-year-old Allie Phillips. She's a mother and a small business owner, and now she's running for political office in Tennessee in her home district, District 75. Her political campaign was inspired by a very personal journey, her pregnancy with her late daughter, Miley Rose. At the time of her pregnancy, Tennessee's trigger ban would have made it a felony for her to get an abortion in the state, even despite the risk the pregnancy posed to Allie's life. Allie, thank you so much for joining us and bravely sharing your story tonight. You started posting about your pregnancy journey with your thousands of TikTok followers back in 2022 as you and your husband excitedly were preparing to welcome your baby girl. But then at your 19-week visit, doctors found severe anomalies with Miley, so severe, in fact, that both of your lives were at risk. Tell us what happened then and why you were denied an abortion.
Yeah, so like you said, my husband and I were very excited to find out that we were expecting, and we were told at my routine anatomy scan that there were multiple fetal anomalies that were discovered and that we needed to go see a high-risk specialist to get further testing. And at that high-risk doctor, we found out that pretty much every major organ in Miley's body did not form as expected and was not working properly, and that the longer I stayed pregnant, the higher risk my health would become, and that she was not compatible with life outside of the womb. And if I chose to stay pregnant, we were essentially playing the waiting game of when is she going to pass and how. Either she's going to pass in utero or she's going to pass outside of the womb. And when asked what our options were, the doctor looked at us and said, you can choose to terminate, but due to Tennessee's ban on abortion, you cannot do that here. You would have to look out of state. And so that's when it really kind of weighed heavy on us, knowing that if I chose to stay pregnant, I was putting my life at risk. And I have a 6-year-old daughter here that I need to live for. So choosing to stay pregnant wasn't the option for us. Termination was going to be the safest and most effective route for me and my family. And knowing that we now had this journey ahead of us, it was devastating.
You posted about one of your most vulnerable moments, sitting on the floor in New York City when you found out that Miley didn't have a heartbeat. What was it like to have to leave the state of Tennessee and fly to New York for care?
I was angry, I was traumatized, I was confused, like, why me? And in that moment in New York City, my husband flew up there with me, but the clinic I went to is a patient-only clinic, so he wasn't allowed to be there with me. And so when I found out that she was deceased, I had to call and tell my husband over the phone that our daughter was gone. And I've never felt more alone in my life than being in a foreign city around doctors I've never met, by myself in a hallway, just finding out that my daughter was gone. It was the most devastating and traumatic experience I think I've ever been through.
Prior to that trauma, had you ever considered running for political office?
Never. Politics was never something I saw myself doing. I thought I was doing my due diligence by going out and voting in every election. Running for office was I would say you were crazy if you would have told me that I would be a political candidate. It just, for me, felt like the right thing to do. As a mother, it's my job to make sure that my daughter is safe and taken care of. And advocating and voting isn't enough in these deep red states. I have to be in one of those seats. And even though if I can flip my seat blue, we are still going to be a supermajority GOP. But that's just a little bit closer to getting us to have a voice at the table.
Before running for office, you tried to contact your local representative, Republican Jeff Burkhart. He met with you for a couple of hours. My understanding is that things didn't go according to plan. What happened after your meeting?
So after my meeting, funny enough, I sent him a text message thanking him for his time and allowing me to share my story with him. And in my text message, I jokingly said, who knows, maybe one day I'll run against you. LOL, just kidding. I reached out to him a couple more times since our meeting in June last year. And he said he would help me get my idea, my bill to the legislator, and that hasn't happened. And so I figured, why wait around and wait for a man to help me when I can do it myself?
When you mentioned that bill, tell us specifically about Miley's Law and what it aims to do.
Yeah, so Miley's Law, in short, in simple terms, would be giving choice back to parents when diagnosed with fetal anomalies. It doesn't have to be fatal fetal anomalies, just fetal anomalies in general. It should be up to the parents what happens next, how they decide moving forward, whether that be termination or continuing their pregnancy.
Allie Phillips, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Mortgage rates slowly dropped in recent weeks, and now aspiring homeowners are wondering, is 2024 the year to buy? As our Elizabeth Schulze reports, while home prices in many markets across the country are still going up, a dip in borrowing costs could help bring some buyers off the sidelines.
With mortgage rates dropping, aspiring homeowners are wondering if 2024 could be the year they can finally afford to buy a home.
When we look at the housing market in 2023, it was incredibly difficult, especially for first-time homebuyers.
The National Association of Realtors predicts 2023 will stack up to be the worst year for home sales in more than a decade. But now there are encouraging signs. As inflation cools, the Federal Reserve has signaled it could cut interest rates 3 times this year, making it cheaper to borrow money for a new mortgage.
We do expect in 2024 that mortgage interest rates will continue to decline. They're down considerably. It opens up the affordability box for many potential home buyers.
After climbing to nearly 8% in October, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage is now 6.6%, with analysts forecasting rates below 6% by the end of the year. That would save buyers $230 a month on their payments for a $400,000 mortgage. Welcome relief for Megan Zuckerman.
There were some places that I saw like over the summer where the rates were very high compared to what they may have cost just a few years ago. So it's definitely a very frustrating time to be looking.
Saddled with high rent and student loan payments, Zuckerman is among a growing number of millennials choosing to move in with her parents to cut costs.
I'm not currently paying rent, and I'm not, in a situation where my lease is up and I need to be out at a certain point.
Now she's saving $2,000 a month to put toward a down payment for her first home.
It is nice that I'm able to take my time to get to that 20% goal and hopefully be able to meet that soon.
Experts agree putting down 20% of the home's value is a good goal. And be sure to shop around with different lenders for the lowest mortgage rate.
Make sure that you have your financial house in order as you go into this scenario, paying down as much debt as you can and saving as much as you can.
Always some good advice there. Thanks to Elizabeth for that. There's a new trend in travel. Families who are taking their kids out of school to go on vacation. Our Stephanie Ramos takes a look at the benefits of off-season trips and what educators are saying about it.
Spending quality family time is essential, and more families with kids are opting to take family vacations while school is still in session. Meet the Fernandez family. Mom, dad, 2 kids. The eldest is in 1st grade. The youngest is 2 years old and stays home with mom. They travel during the school year to save money and to give the kids a break from routines.
My family and I likes to take vacations during the school year, let's say maybe twice during that year, if not at least once.
The Fernandezes say vacationing during the off-season means it's also less crowded.
Primarily because it's quite affordable compared to going during the summer. Airfare, hotels, and everything are going to be much more expensive.
The Bagley family also take family trips when school is in.
If you can go between like September, October, that seems to be when like crowds are down, prices are down, and then the same in February after President's Day, because I think people aren't traveling right before spring break.
But educators are worried about the impact of missing class on kids.
Showing up to school every day, reestablishing that routine of everyday attendance is critical. It helps lower anxiety, helps make sure that they develop good habits that are important for success in school.
For the majority of American families, the Family Travel Association says summer and spring still remains the top time to vacation. But 56% of respondents to the survey found the timing of school breaks are a challenge, and 59% cited affordability as their most pressing issue. These families say taking the kids on vacation is beneficial, adding that traveling can be educational because the kids get to learn new experiences.
It's well worth it because I feel like, even though we have a long summer break, having your kids just going to school and home and back and forth, it gets pretty repetitive. So I think doing these family vacations is definitely helpful, not only for the kids, but I think it's healthy for the family as a whole.
Our thanks to Stephanie for that. And turning now to a medical breakthrough, an infant underwent a partial heart transplant at just 17 days old. Now, 1 year later, he's healthy and doing well. Doctors say this partial heart transplant is a groundbreaking, successful first step on the road to more widespread clinical trials, a sign for hope not only for this baby's family, but for millions of young heart patients around the world. Ariel Reshef has this story.
A medical breakthrough, a partial heart transplant successfully growing in an infant for a year.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi. Born with a heart defect, Owen Monroe underwent the groundbreaking procedure in 2022 at just 17 days old. In a new study, doctors from Duke Health reporting the boy has functioning heart valves and arteries that are growing with him as if they were his own.
I mean, this was completely uncharted territory.
In the first of its kind surgery, arteries and valves from a donated heart were integrated into Owen's heart. Surgeons hoping this partial transplant provides a one-time fix. Other treatment options are not as ideal, like using valves from organ donors, which wouldn't grow with Owen and would require multiple surgeries to replace, or a full transplant with high doses of anti-rejection medications.
And what we found is that with partial heart transplants, you're on about a quarter of that dose, and it's really a non-life-altering dose.
He went into stage 4 heart failure within a few hours after birth.
And he was pretty much already out of options.
It was terrifying.
Doctors felt the best option for Owen was the partial transplant.
I hit them with the hard hitting, have you done this before? And they said, on 5 piglets. And I said, I guess Owen's going to be your first human.
The 8-hour surgery, a success. Owen heading home 28 days later. Today, he is a thriving toddler. Doctors optimistic there will be no surgery in his future.
We are just eternally grateful for our donor's family. Truly, Owen would not be here today.
And best of all, Owen has paved the way for 12 other children to have this life-saving procedure, including multiple babies saved by different parts of the same heart, and babies with new transplants whose old heart valves can be reused.
It's literally changing the world, and it's incredible to just be a part of it.
Heartwarming story. We all need those every once in a while. Our thanks to Ariel for bringing us that. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, the countdown to the Iowa caucuses. The Republicans are crisscrossing the state with just 12 days to go. And the search for survivors after a deadly earthquake. What's hindering a rescue effort?
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories. Start here.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Make it your daily first listen, wherever you get your podcasts. From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
From the capital.
Destructive Cat 4 storm.
You're along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
We have really good news. Congratulations, you're pregnant.
I was terrified.
It was just so traumatic.
Nightmare.
People need to understand, these were wanted babies.
18 women facing life and death medical conditions. Their lives now out of their control.
I felt like I was going to die.
Our lives and our health are debatable.
I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy.
Diane Sawyer, Rachel Scott, On the Brink, now streaming on Hulu.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. We begin tonight with breaking news. Some previously sealed court documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein have now been released. Epstein was accused of abusing young girls and women for years. He took his own life in jail while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges back in 2019. The documents were part of a defamation case brought by Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's alleged victims, against Epstein's former partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, in a case that was settled 6 years ago. Last year, Maxwell was convicted of sex trafficking and other crimes for helping Epstein abuse teenage girls and is now serving a 20-year sentence. Maxwell is appealing that sentence. Our team at ABC is pouring through the documents as they could reveal more prominent names, including presidents, royals, business executives, and celebrities. So what have we learned so far? For that, we bring in our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, taking a break from all the paperwork for a moment to tell us what you found.
Well, all those kinds of names are in these newly released documents as part of Giuffre's lawsuit. I've seen the actress Cameron Diaz mentioned, former President Clinton, Prince Andrew, former Vice President Al Gore. None of it necessarily means anything. These are not new allegations of any wrongdoing. These are names that lawyers brought up to witnesses. Have you ever seen this person on Epstein's Island? Did you ever have dinner with this person while in the company of Jeffrey Epstein? As Giuffre's lawyers tried to substantiate her claims that she had seen all these famous people in the company of Jeffrey Epstein, which Ghislaine Maxwell had denied. And that was the substance of this defamation lawsuit. We did have a look at a couple of documents that pertain directly to former President Clinton. Giuffre had never accused him of any wrongdoing, but she did say that he had been on Epstein's private island, which he had denied and which Maxwell called a lie, that she had seen him fly in on a helicopter piloted by Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell said that was a lie. And so we learned that Giuffre's lawyers wanted to depose Clinton. Deposing a former president, as we sit here in 2024 talking about that, doesn't sound outlandish, but back at the time, Lindsay, it was something that just didn't happen. But we learned in these documents the arguments that Giuffre's lawyers made. They wanted to hear from Clinton directly.
But again, just because your name was included in this list doesn't mean you're implicated in some kind of negative or pejorative way.
Nothing like that. And look, the book on Epstein has largely been closed. He died by suicide. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of limited charges of aiding Epstein's deviant sexual behavior. A number of women have been trying to get justice through these civil lawsuits. The one between Giuffre and Maxwell settled 6.5 years ago. The one repository of information about Epstein that has been untapped, not these documents unsealed, but it may be the federal government. When Epstein was arrested in 2019, on the tarmac of an airport in Teterboro, New Jersey, the feds broke down the door of his mansion on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And what they seized, what they took, the pictures, the video, the computers, the electronic evidence, much of that has never seen the light of day. So if people want to know more about Jeffrey Epstein, maybe they can convince the feds to release more information.
Oh, very interesting. There's a lot more there, potentially, than Aaron Katersky. Our thanks to you, as always. And for a closer look at what this all means, joining us now, once again, ABC News legal contributor and professor of law, Kim Whaley. Kim, thanks for coming back on. The majority of names in these documents are not accused, as we just discussed with Aaron, of wrongdoing, per se, yet much is being bandied about on social media. What does this say about due process in this country?
Right. So we were talking a lot about due process in connection with the ballot litigation and the cases for Donald Trump staying off the ballot in 2 states. And people are saying, oh, due process. He's getting his due process. He has a trial. He has in Colorado and in Maine. He had a hearing. These people don't have any charges against them. There's no evidence being produced by the government charging them, or even in some civil cases. So it's really important to make that distinction in terms of, in our minds, convicting these people of anything that they did wrong. On the other hand, it's a very sordid tale, and it's stunning that so many high-level people had such close relationships with Jeffrey Epstein while all of this was going on with these young women and girls.
At the end of the day, many women and girls were abused under the nose of many powerful, influential people. How does this reflect on the Justice Department?
So in 2008, I think that was the first case of misconduct, of trafficking brought against Jeffrey Epstein. There's a sweetheart deal with a broad immunity provision. And 11 years later, in 2019, he was, again, as Aaron indicated, arrested for the same conduct. So it went on for 11 years after the first prosecution. And so at that point, people knew what he was up to. And the fact that so many people got abused after that under the noses of the Justice Department is really a shameful chapter in the history of the federal judicial system and the justice system, frankly.
Some names were redacted. What are some reasonings that could be used for a judge to agree not to reveal certain names?
So if you want something to be sealed and kept from the public, you have to have a good reason. And for the majority of these, the judge goes through and says, listen, there's not an overriding reason for the public to have access to this. Of course, if they're victims, that's a reason to keep their names under seal, because they don't want to be exposed for having been abused in that way. If there are other reasons, that wouldn't necessarily be made public, but it's because the litigation required this exchange of information that now it's in the public record and accessible, now that the judges decided that there's no justification for keeping these things under seal anymore for a lot of these individuals.
And what happens next?
Well, as you know, as Aaron indicated, the material comes out and people will read it and draw whatever conclusions. But my sense is those things that stay under seal will probably continue that way unless there's an appeal and a higher court disagrees with the lower court judge that certain names should continue to be kept confidential.
All right, Kim Whaley, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Now to the migrant crisis amid a record surge. House Speaker Mike Johnson and fellow Republicans are at the border in Eagle Pass, Texas today, saying America is at a breaking point and pressuring President Biden to accept Republican proposals to fix it. But now President Biden is blaming Republicans for holding up funding for border security. Matt Rivers is in San Antonio, Texas tonight.
Tonight, amid a record number of border crossings, House Speaker Mike Johnson and 64 House Republicans touring the southern border, descending on Eagle Pass, Texas, to demand stricter immigration policies.
One thing is absolutely clear. America is at a breaking point with record levels of illegal immigration.
December reaching that record high, sources telling ABC News there were 302,000 migrant encounters. And until changes are made to border policies, Republican lawmakers are vowing to hold up emergency funds for Ukraine, Israel, and the border. H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act, would resume construction of the border wall, change who qualifies for asylum, and limit the Department of Homeland Security's ability to grant migrants parole.
Our position is very clear, and we have made that clear again for 7 months. H.R. 2 is the necessary ingredient. Why? Because it has provisions that fix each of these problems, and these things work together.
And today, senators on Capitol Hill working to strike a bipartisan deal.
We're making progress. We're closer than we have been, but this is a very difficult issue.
Overnight, President Biden placing the blame on Republicans, saying without funding, his hands are tied.
You gotta do something. You gotta give me the money I need to protect the border.
Our thanks to Matt Rivers. A powerful coast-to-coast storm is heading across the country and to the northeast, where it could become the first major snowstorm in 2 years. Powerful waves can be seen in Pacifica, California, and are being experienced all along the coast with high surf alerts from San Francisco to San Diego. 6 states are under winter weather alerts. More than a foot of snow has already fallen in California's Sierra Mountains. The system is now in the west, and by the weekend, major cities in the northeast bringing chances for snow. Our senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano, is tracking it all for us. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Lindsay. You know, our long-range models have been pretty consistent in putting down at least a plowable snow here in the Northeast, and we haven't seen that in nearly 2 years, at least for New York City. It was mid-February 2022, so we are due to say the least. The low itself right now is over the Great Basin, and we've got winter storm warnings, as you mentioned. Most of those are up in New Mexico. Still have some leftover showers across the Sierra. There's another storm behind this one, but let's deal with this guy first. It gets into Texas late in the day tomorrow, and then into Friday morning. Heavy rain into Houston, into Shreveport as well. Snows north of Oklahoma City, north of I-40 mostly, and between there and, say, the Ohio River Valley would be maybe 1 or 2 inches. Shouldn't be much there, but the heavy rain in the southeast, maybe a mix across Appalachia Saturday morning, and then this thing begins to tap into the Atlantic. It intensifies. It begins to bring down more cold air, 6 inches plus possible. I think pretty widespread, 2 to 8, more so northwest of I-95, but the track, the strength, and the speed of this thing is critical, and right now it looks like it's going to end up getting out of here by Sunday, hopefully, but if it slows down and strengthens, we'll be looking at a lot more snow. We'll know more about that, Lindsay, here in the next couple of days.
You know, my son was hoping for a snow day, but perhaps it's going to be too early for that, Rob. Thank you so much. Overseas now to the violence spreading across the Middle East. Officials say 2 explosions killed roughly 100 people at a memorial for a top Iranian general who was killed in a U.S. airstrike 4 years ago. The sound of the blast was followed by screams and a chaotic rush to get away. General Qasem Soleimani was the mastermind behind a militant network, including Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthi rebels. No one has claimed responsibility, but U.S. intelligence indicates there's no evidence Israel was involved. ABC's chief global affairs anchor Martha Raddatz is in Israel tonight.
Tonight, a powerful bomb blast, triggering panic on a crowded Iranian street, followed just minutes later by another explosion. killing nearly 100 people and wounding more than 200. Emergency workers tonight still gathering the dead from the largest terror attack in that country in more than 40 years. Iranian officials say a pair of bombs placed in bags were detonated remotely at the commemoration marking the death of Iran's former top general, Qasem Soleimani, killed by an American drone 4 years ago today. Soleimani, considered the mastermind behind an Iranian-backed network of militia groups that included Hamas and Hezbollah. Iranian officials immediately accusing Israel and, quote, criminal America of the attack, saying Israel will pay the price. But U.S. officials say there is no evidence Israel was involved. Our Mary Bruce pressing the White House.
Can you rule out that Israel had anything to do with this?
We have no indication at this time at all that Israel was involved in any way whatsoever.
It comes just a day after officials say an Israeli drone targeted a top Hamas official in Lebanon. Salah al-Aruri killed along with several others in this Beirut building. Hezbollah's top leader calling the strike a serious and heinous crime that will not go without punishment. The U.S. saying it was not told in advance of the strike.
Our thanks to Martha. Now to that passenger plane that landed and collided with another plane and burst into flames in Tokyo. Tonight, there's so many questions after authorities revealed the pilots on that passenger plane had been cleared to land right before. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in Tokyo once again with the latest.
Tonight, Japan's government releasing the potentially damning transcript of the communications between air traffic controllers and pilots moments before Japan Airlines Flight 516 slammed into a Japanese Coast Guard plane at 5:47 p.m.
Japan 516, continue approach, 34 right.
The logs show that at 5:43 p.m., 4 minutes before the collision, air traffic control instructed the Japan Airlines jet to continue its approach. 5:45 p.m., air traffic control clearing the Japan Airlines jet to land. 10 seconds later, air traffic control instructing the Coast Guard plane to proceed to a holding point on a taxiway to the runway. But Japanese Coast Guard says they were given permission to enter the runway. Another focus of the investigation, the runway warning lights, called stop bar lights, that tell pilots whether a runway is clear. But those lights hadn't been working since December 27th.
They didn't have those lights, and so somehow that crew in that Japanese Coast Guard aircraft believed that they were cleared onto that runway.
Within seconds, Japan Airlines Flight 516, carrying 379 passengers and crew, crashed. The fireball almost instantly incinerating the Coast Guard plane.
About 1,000 yards down the runway, that's where Flight 516 came to rest. All that's left now are the wings and parts of the engines.
Inside the airliner, the cabin filling with smoke, 5 of the plane's 8 emergency exits unusable. But the crew funneled nearly 400 people through the 3 remaining exits. Tonight, we interviewed another captain.
Does it seem
communication? Yeah.
Communication problem between the air traffic control and the pilot of the Coast Guard?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Our thanks to Matt Gutman. In Newark, New Jersey, an imam has died after being shot outside of a mosque. The imam, Hassan Sharif, is a well-known figure in Newark, often giving prayers at city council meetings. The police found him in the parking lot with multiple gunshot wounds 10 feet from the mosque entrance. Investigators are now going through security and city-owned street cameras to try to determine whether they can spot the assailant. The mayor of Newark, in a statement, said Imam Hassan Sharif stood with the people of the city, and we will stand with him and his family. Late today, former President Trump officially asked the Supreme Court to overturn the decision by Colorado Supreme Court to remove him from the ballot there. He's asking the nation's highest court to ensure he will appear on primary ballots across the country. Meanwhile, in Iowa tonight, Ron DeSantis was questioned about why he won't take Trump on more directly. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, Donald Trump formally calling on the Supreme Court to throw out a Colorado court's ruling blocking him from appearing on the state's ballot. That Colorado court citing the 14th Amendment, which bans an officer of the United States who swore an oath to the Constitution and engaged in insurrection from holding office. Tonight, Trump's lawyers arguing the president is not an officer of the United States, adding what happened on January 6th was not insurrection, and President Trump in no way engaged in insurrection. Finally, Trump asking the Supreme Court to return the right to vote for their candidate of choice to the voters. Here in Iowa, voters will soon have their say. Trump leads by 30 points, And today, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis pressed on why he isn't hitting Trump harder.
Why haven't you gone directly after him? Polls are down. He's, up really high.
What do you mean by going directly after?
I mean, you're in my viewpoint, you're going pretty soft on him.
I think the narrative is this. I think what the media wants is they want Republican candidates to just kind of like smear him personally and kind of do that. That's just not how I roll.
Meanwhile, in New Hampshire, polls show former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley pulling into second place and now finding herself the target of new Trump attacks.
Gotta say I love it because I know that means he sees what we're seeing. But literally, these temper tantrums that he's having and these commercials that I'm seeing that you're watching, every one of them is a lie.
The mudslinging is now underway. Rachel Scott joins us from Iowa. Rachel, with so many GOP candidates in the race, how is President Biden handling his campaign?
Yeah, well, President Biden's campaign announced that he will be traveling to two deeply symbolic places to draw a direct contrast with Donald Trump. So on the third anniversary of January 6th, the president is set to deliver remarks near Valley Forge, that historic site where George Washington commanded the troops during the Revolutionary War. And then on Monday, he is expected to speak inside the historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina, where 9 black people were gunned down by a white supremacist. His campaign says all of this is meant to send a message about what's at stake this election. Lindsay.
Rachel Scott from Iowa for us. Thanks so much, Rachel. Still much more to get to tonight. Coming up, living in exile, a first look inside the home King Edward shared with his American wife after abdicating the English throne. But next, a major prisoner of war exchange between Russia and Ukraine. How many were freed by both sides?
Whenever news breaks,
we are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, from southern Israel.
Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut.
From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
Everything is so fine, little bit of sunshine. Some more, just a little bit. Breathe more, just a little bit. Smile a little more in a minute. I've been running through the strange life. Pictures on my phone, like everything is so fine, little bit of sunshine.
Good morning, America.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Reporting from outside the courthouse in Walterboro, South Carolina, I'm Emwin. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. In Japan, rescue workers are searching through rubble for survivors after Monday's powerful 7.6 magnitude earthquake that killed at least 73 people. The quake caused a massive fire on Japan's Noto Peninsula. Homes not leveled there were razed in the fire. Freezing rain and the remote location of the hardest hit areas have only further complicated rescue efforts. As a war between Russia and Ukraine nears the 2-year mark, the two countries exchanged hundreds of prisoners of war today. Ukrainian authorities said 230 prisoners returned home to Ukraine and 248 Russian captives were freed in a deal brokered by the UAE. Meantime, Russia said it fired down 12 missiles aimed at part of its southern border with Ukraine. And there's good news in the fight against breast cancer. Scientists at one British university have developed a fingerprint test that could one day replace the more painful and invasive mammogram. The test, which detects sweat on a fingertip, was originally for use in forensics, but the research team realized it could check for breast cancer as well. The first look inside Villa Windsor, the magnificent home where King Edward and his American wife and socialite Wallis Simpson lived in exile. Their home life in Paris has long remained secret, but ABC News was invited inside for exclusive access to this royal retreat. ABC's Maggie Rulli has the story.
King Edward gave up the crown and Buckingham Palace so he could live here with his love, the American divorcee Wallis Simpson.
Good morning,
Hello,
Maggie.
good morning,
Welcome to the Villa Windsor.
Long shrouded in secrecy, GMA got an exclusive invite inside.
Oh, it is so beautiful here. I cannot believe we actually get to go inside.
Well, you're one of the first to come and visit, so please come in.
Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
The royal family only making one official visit to the ostracized king.
Members of the royal family visited him at his home in the Bois de Boulogne.
A moment recreated in the Netflix drama, The Crown.
We've had our disagreements, but you've always remained my favorite uncle.
You have your work cut out for you.
The villa now stands empty, but was once the home of grand society parties.
It's so exciting to actually be inside Villa Windsor. There's so much secrecy and mystery surrounding this place.
Yes, this place has barely been open to the public. Hardly anyone has seen this house.
Look at that. So this is where her mirror was, right here.
Exactly.
Upstairs in Wallis's bedroom.
You still can feel them in the house,
Yes,
can't you?
exactly. I think in a strange way, their ghosts are very much present.
Her touches are everywhere.
In here, all her shoes were kept. She always had shoes made by the best French shoemakers.
After Edward and Wallis both died at the villa, Mohammed El Fayed, the Egyptian billionaire fascinated by all things royal and whose son was dating Princess Diana, moved in and had big plans for the house.
His idea was to offer this house as a wedding gift to his son Dodi and Princess Diana, because he was convinced they were going to get married.
The fascinating history of Villa Windsor, including the years it was Charles de Gaulle's headquarters at the end of the war, now to be preserved as a museum.
For the first time ever, Parisians and people from all over the world will be able to see and visit this house.
A fascinating inside first look from Maggie there, thanks to her. And still to come, she spent time in jail, but turned her life around, becoming an author and getting a job with the state government, the life-changing gift she's been given.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here. With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television. From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
Finally tonight, an opportunity for a clean slate for a North Carolina woman. The governor announced 4 pardons, including one for a children's book author who also works at the state legislature. Reporter Tom George with our partner station WTVD has her story in tonight's Local Lowdown.
It's easy reading a story to just skip ahead to the best part.
If you've ever been to a Southern Baptist church, then you know the ladies can shout.
Portia Bright Pittman recalling the moment on her lunch break from her job at the legislature when she got the call from Governor Cooper's office that she had been pardoned.
It was just an unspeakable joy.
That joy came after some much tougher chapters in her life. Back in 2008, caught up in bad relationships and the wrong crowd, she ended up convicted of accessory after the fact to a robbery with a dangerous weapon, spending 6 months behind bars.
I did not want to end up in that jumpsuit again, okay? I do not look good in orange, by the way.
Even after serving her time, she quickly learned the punishment never went away. Doors closed for jobs because of her past.
It's like somebody throwing mud on you, you know? So for me, it's been wiping it off, cleaning myself all the while, you know, just showing people that's not who I am.
Slowly but surely, people gave her a chance. First, her hometown radio station, then a local politician in Greenville who decided to give her a shot even though she'd never run a campaign before.
He interviewed me, I told him what I went through, and I think we both shed a few tears as we were talking about it. But he was like, Portia, I'm going to hire you. And I was like, oh, my God, this is it.
From there, Pittman has worked for several state lawmakers and even wrote some children's books about how laws are made. All the while, her pardon application had been sitting there for over a decade.
I had no idea that I would get it. It was a long shot, but it was just me stepping out on faith saying, I want to put this on file to say, I am so sorry.
Just grateful for a second chance, and that people chose not to judge this book by its cover.
Well, I'm looking at you today. Thank you so much for seeing me for who I am.
Our thanks for that story. Not judging a book by its cover, a great reminder there for us tonight. And that is our show. I'm Lindsay Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and of course on abcnews.com. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night. This is ABC News Live.
The crush of family.